Well, thank you so much, Ivy and Carol. It's such a treat to be with all of you and see some longtime friends. I'm Teresa Bartels. I live in the Lake County, Illinois area, about halfway between Chicago and Milwaukee. I am a Vistage chair, um, a positive intelligence coach, and now a most powerful question coach. We can talk about all of that some other time. What I'd love for you to know is that I'm passionate about United Way. I actually started in Wichita, Kansas, and learned about the United Way of America at that time intern program. And they sent me to Illinois. I thought I was going to be here for 6 months. That was 49 years ago. And I am still involved with United Way as a volunteer. My last staff work was as president of United Way International when we merged with United Way of America to create what is now United Way Worldwide. It is a passion and a joy for me to be involved with United Way and to continue to make a difference in our community, especially in education. As a first in my family to go to college, it's really been important to me to continue to support access and affordability for people. Well, you notice I said it's great to see some longtime friends here. I didn't say old friends because for some of us, that word old can make us recoil a little bit, right? Prefer wisdom. We're wiser. We're in the wisdom chapter of our lives. Feels a little bit better than old. And really, what we're exploring today is relevant at any age. I think it's especially relevant when any of us are in a transition point. When something that used to define us maybe is shifting, ending, expanding, or calling us into something new. Some transitions arrive with a party and a cake, and some arrive with a pink slip. Some arrive when the children are launched. The calendar is suddenly too empty, or the work that once energized us no longer fits. And some transitions whisper before they shout, there may be something more for me now. My hope is that this hour whets your appetite for exploring your most powerful question. It's the question that's embedded in your life story, and it can help you live with more intention, more purpose, and more joy. So before I go any further, I would love to get a sense of who is in our virtual room today. Ivy's going to launch a poll, and as with most polls, you need to choose the one that's closest. Real life rarely fits neatly into a little box, but if you would, please take a look at these choices and just give me a sense of where you are currently in your life story.
We are getting quite a few replies, already over 60%. And at first, they were about all of the same, and now we are getting some variants. So it
Well,
looks like,
that's helpful to have a little diversity in the group.
yes, it looks like about 83% of the room has filled out the poll already. If anyone wants to get in some final answers, and I think somebody else just joined, so hopefully they aren't startled by a poll the moment they come in.
We'll give it just a little bit more time.
Yep. And it looks like there's only one option that no one has selected yet. So,
Oh, so we have a lot of diversity.
yeah. Awesome. Well, I will go ahead and end the poll and then share the results with you.
Okay. So half the room is working full time in a meaningful career, and perhaps you're interested in finding a little bit more about how your purpose fits with what you're actually doing right now. Um, A couple of folks seem to be looking for some changes and loving flexibility. That's where I'm at in my life. I love having the flexibility of working when I want to, but not full time and being able to do a lot of travel and visiting with my grandchildren all over the country. I think what I appreciate about these results is that they remind us there is no one next. There are many next. So some of you might be thinking, I really love my job. Don't make me retire. Or you might be thinking, I'm really happy retired. Don't make me go back to work. And some of you might be in the middle, grateful for what has been and curious about what's still possible. That curiosity is a great place to begin. We have with us today, and I don't know if you can see him because sometimes he hides when he's on Zoom. Um, the person who created My Powerful Question Institute, Dr. John Olesnavage. John is a clinical psychologist and author, and he introduced me to this concept and helped me find my most powerful question. I knew it was the right one for me because it did not arrive as some intellectual idea. It arrived in my body. I felt it. It was unmistakable. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes, but first, let me tell you where this idea came from. John actually returned to school to complete his doctorate in clinical psychology when he was 47. And during that period, he had the opportunity to meet with an internationally renowned professor. So John asked him the kind of question that a lot of us would ask someone who's achieved great things. What's the secret to your success? John expected that he'd get something deep, complex, and philosophical, maybe something that required a whiteboard, 3 footnotes, and a strong cup of coffee. No, the professor said, I just follow my question every day. That simple answer stayed with John, and he sensed he had heard something much larger than career advice. He began looking for the questions underneath remarkable lives. And what he found was that many people who've made a significant difference in the world seem to be following a question that touched them at the core of who they were. I've got some examples for you. Let's think about Albert Einstein. As a young man, this was his quote, what would it be like to ride on the end of a beam of light? And that's the question that followed him. It was playful, it was imaginative, and profound. Maya Lin, while she was still an undergraduate student, created the design for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Her question asked something deeper than what's this architecture supposed to be? It was about meaning. Charles and Ray Eames, along with somebody named Herman Miller, asked the question, what's sitting in a chair? What makes sitting in a chair comfortable? Thomas Aquinas. According to tradition, he walked around as a child asking, what is God? And spent his entire life pursuing that question. Abraham Maslow, what's normal? Steve Jobs, what dent do you want to make in the universe? Fred Rogers. One of my personal favorites is attributed to Sojourner Truth, who stood before an audience of women's rights advocates and asked, with courage and command, ain't I a woman? And proved it. The list goes on. You scratch the biography of someone who made a difference in art, science, faith, business, justice, family, or community. And very often you will find a question that would just not leave them alone. More recently, I was reading Jim Collins' newest book, What to Make of a Life. It's his book that where he talks about navigating the cliff moments and transitions that cause us to ask deeper questions about meaning, identity, and what comes next. One of the questions associated with that season of life is beautifully simple. Who am I now? And the slides aren't moving, Ivy. There it is. Who am I now? And what difference can I make? For many of us, transition points in our lives lead us to a version of that same question. If my identity has been connected to my career, title, my children, my spouse, my role in the community, or perhaps the way other people have always seen me, then a change in that identity can feel disorienting. Even good transitions can be unsettling. Retirement can be wonderful, and it can still leave us wondering who we are without that old calendar. The good news is this, as John Olesnavage has helped me to understand, we all have a powerful question embedded in our life story. John calls it our most powerful question. It touches us at the core of who we are. And because it touches us there, it always brings a physical or emotional response when we find it. It may be goosebumps, it might be tears or a feeling of electricity. Could be just a quiet inner yes. It's not merely clever language. So when you find it, it will be something that you recognize. So in a moment, I want to guide you through the first step in John's process, not the whole process. We'll just have time today for the beginning. Think of it as opening the door and letting in a little light. I hope you've had the chance to either download the worksheet that Ivy shared with you yesterday. If you printed it, wonderful. If you have it open on your computer, that probably also works, or just a clean sheet of paper. Make sure you've got something that you can write on. This exercise is the first one, self-awareness, which Socrates aptly said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And I might add that an over-examined life can also make us a little tired. So today, we're just going for honest reflection, not perfection. So this is worksheet 1. It asks you to identify 10 key events in your life your answers may begin to reveal some patterns or themes that form a narrative. I want you to write the 10 events that come to mind. They can be joyful, they can be difficult, ordinary, extraordinary. Don't overthink it. Just write down what comes to mind. You're not creating a public resume. This is just for you. You are noticing your life. I'll give you a few minutes of quiet time to do that. see a few people that might be finished, but please feel free to continue to work on that. There's another piece to this worksheet. So if you've got the worksheet that was sent to you, hmm. Ivy, again, it's not moving. There we go. So write down the 10 things you're most proud of. I think a lot of people have some challenges with this. We tend to remember the things that were not the most proud moments of our lives, sometimes more easily. But think about the things that are important to you, that not what would impress anyone else. You might be proud of staying or leaving. You might be proud of raising a child or surviving a really hard season in your life or building something. Maybe you're proud of forgiving someone, telling the truth, learning something, maybe something later in life or a new beginning. Think about things that you're proud of. Allie, did you do this work ahead of time? I see you looking right at me.
I'm typing away. Yeah. But I have to tell you, it's like the biggest joy to see you.
It's such a treat to see you too.
Yeah.
And Christy and Kim, whom I've also worked with, such a delight. Maybe if when you've finished and realize this can be an ongoing work, so don't feel like you have to complete this today, but when you're ready, just give me a thumbs up so we know that you're ready to move forward. Anybody? Whoa, that was explosive, Ivy. Okay, looks like everybody's kind of ready. So let's take a look. I don't know if my computer's frozen or what, but I can't get the slides to move, Ivy. So thank you. Maybe you might see some themes, a thread of service, maybe courage, beauty. I put a few words up here. You might also see something you don't yet have words for. That's perfectly fine. This is the beginning of noticing some themes that are embedded in your life story, and it's the beginning of discovery. It's not the final exam. So I'd love to invite you to share one word or phrase in the chat that describes perhaps a pattern or theme that you noticed. It can be as general as you would like. Um, you don't have to share the story behind it unless you want to. And feel free to open your mic if you want to comment as well. Courage, choices, relationships. Yeah, important. Constant learning. Any other themes that you want to share? Yeah, survival for sure. And generosity. Mm, taking the less traveled path. I wonder what that means for you. Feel free to continue to share your words. What I love about seeing them is that it reminds us how much life is represented among all of us. Everybody, every person has a story, and we all have wisdom. This worksheet is just the beginning. The full process includes additional steps that help you move from life events and sources of pride to deeper themes, and then to questions that seems to have been following you for a long time. Ivy, if you can go to the next slide. I completed all of these workshops several years ago. I had an inkling of what my powerful question might be, and then working with Dr. John, I discovered this question that is the most true for me at this point in my life. And the language here is very deliberate. Each word matters to me. What does it really look like to actually love everyone? I still get goosebumps every time when I say that out loud. When I found that question, it was not just a nice sentence. I actually cried. It felt like recognition and truth for me. And what it's done for me is to give me a clear lens for approaching every day and pretty much every situation in my life. It's helped me to become much more intentional about how I spend my time and energy. And it may sound silly, but I walk through airports or crowded streets with this big smile on my face intentionally. And what I'm sure some people wonder what the heck I'm up to, but it is one small way that I can love people that I will never know. And it's very interesting to get some reciprocal smiles back. Um, One of the ways that I put this into action is I always ask servers, uh, people who are checking me out at the grocery store, I ask their name and I call people by name. It acknowledges our connection in a small way and reminds me that no one is just a role. Every person is carrying a whole life. And certainly with the people that are in my more intimate circle, I try to always ask, what would love look like here? Um, not easy love, but real love, honest and courageous love. And sometimes that means just listening. Sometimes it means acting or telling someone the hard truth. And sometimes simply staying present. That, just to give you an idea, that's what has been important about this question for me. Ivy, go ahead. Um, Trying to answer that question is a daily challenge, and it really gives me hope and a reason to celebrate every person that I meet. Um, I think this is what Powerful Question is all about. What am I called to do right now? My own personal faith leads me to believe that God gave me a life for a reason, and that reason doesn't expire when there are a certain number of candles on the cake. Purpose is a question that naturally arises during our wisdom years, especially because we have more choices than ever before. And we may have to ask, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be in this chapter? So the question for each of you that I pose for you to consider is, how do we ensure we are living in a way that is authentic and purposeful rather than living up or down to the expectations of others or to a life story that no longer reflects who we really are. And I've learned that there's a way. It begins by paying attention to that question embedded in our own life story. The question that touches us at the core of who we are and points us toward the difference that we were born to make. And when it's discovered, that question will bring forth an involuntary physical or emotional response, just as surely as the response we get when a doctor taps us on our knee. Or it may not be a leg jerk. It may be, as I said, tears, goosebumps, a sudden sense of yes. It will certainly feel real to you. And it will be unique to you. It's not my question. It's not your spouse's, your friends, your former boss, the question the world thinks you should have. It will be yours. Next slide. So today we began with simple timelines, the events that shaped you and the things that you're proud of. But that's not a small beginning. Those two lists contain clues about your values, your resilience, your gifts, your wounds, your commitments, and your callings. So my invitation to you is to stay curious and look at those lists again later today or maybe tomorrow and ask yourself, what keeps showing up in my life? What has mattered to me again and again? What kind of difference have I already been trying to make even before I had words for it? And if you're interested in learning more and perhaps beginning that process of finding your own most powerful question, please reach out to me. My email address and phone number are there, and I would love to talk with you more about it. You can also go to the My Powerful Question Institute website and learn a little bit more about John and the process that's involved. So thank you for spending some time with me reflecting on this, and I'm happy to answer questions or chat about what you're noticing. Thanks for that heart, Barbara.
And quickly before we get into the Q&A, I will just do a couple of housekeeping items because I know sometimes people need to hop off early. They have other meetings or they need to go to lunch, things like that. So if you do have to head out early, feel free to drop any questions or comments you have in the chat. So at least they can get recognized in the recording. And then I will make sure that you get a copy of the recording. You will get that worksheet if you haven't gotten it already. And I will make sure to link the websites as well as Teresa's information. I'll include her email and her LinkedIn and all of the things. And just a quick note, if you do hop out as well, please take 30 to 60 seconds to fill out the 3-question survey at the end, just so that we know that we are hopefully putting on good events for you guys, that you are enjoying the speakers, that you are enjoying the content. And if you have any suggestions of things that you want to see in 2027, please do put them in there because we are going to be launching our RFP process next month, which sounds crazy for 2027. So if you want to be a speaker or if you have ideas on other topics you want to see people like Teresa speak on, go ahead and drop them in there. And then I'll just do another quick shout out for our sponsors, Mutual of America, FrontStream, Third Sector Company, Board Build, UPick Solutions, and GivePulse. And if you are enjoying this personal transformation series, there are a couple more as well. So I will make sure you have the links to those. Otherwise, I will open it up to Q&A, and you guys feel free to unmute, raise your hand, speak, drop things in the chat, whatever works best for you.
Thank you, Ivy. Thank you, Ivy. And thanks, Teresa. This was excellent. I felt like I was a combination of goosebumps and like emotions by just hearing you talk us through this process.
Oh,
So
fun.
I appreciated the fact that you even let us know that like as we do this work, that's our bodies respond to this, right?
Yeah, it's
So,
embedded in us, truly.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
fascinating. I'm curious, and I'm going to call on somebody like Kimberly Dodson, who I just adore that you're here today. It's so great to see you. I'm curious, was it easier for you to name those events in your life or sources of pride?
Teresa, so great to see you. When I saw this advertised on the Next website, I couldn't believe it. I almost messaged you, but I thought, no, I'm going to surprise you and just show up here. But, for me, it's interesting. One of the themes that I came up with was healing. And I think,
Mm.
when we first met, when I was more of an emergent leader, it would have been very difficult for me to write what I was proud of. I was so hypercritical of myself. And, but today I felt proud of myself in the fact that I could write 10 things that I was proud of myself. And it was interesting because, you know, I thought about when I was that age, and I remember Kitty Long telling me, like, hey, Kim, I remember her giving me this word of encouragement of like, you're going to get to this point in your career and your maturity, like where you're going to have so much confidence in what you do and what you bring that you're not going to worry about a lot of the other like pretentious and kind of performative kind of things. And I remember at that time, like, I don't know, Christy, like, I don't know if I'm going to get there. And I have shared that with people on my team who are now the more emerging leaders, where I tell them, like, just hang in there because you're going to get to that point. So that was an aha moment that I had, that I thought, wow, I can write these 10 things that I'm proud of and not make overthink it or think, well, no, I did this not right, or I didn't do that right. I wasn't a great, but it's like, no, here are things that I am proud of.
Kim, I'm so delighted that you shared that. And I'm also delighted that you share that with your emerging leaders within your organization. We need to make sure that young people understand it's a journey. And that's why mentoring is so important. I hope that we're seeing a lot more of that across United Ways. Um, and quite honestly, women, we have a tendency to have imposter syndrome. I'm doing all these wonderful things, but if they really knew I I'm not that good, bullshit. We are all strong, confident, and capable. And helping young people to really understand that and embrace it is something that all of us can do. Thanks for sharing that. Stacy, did you have a comment? Mm, we can't hear you, Stacy. Shoot.
You're
I know
not
you unmuted. There you are. Oh, but you left again.
you're not muted, but it's like maybe there's a button or something on the back end that isn't working.
Hmm. Well, maybe while Stacy finds her voice, does somebody else have a question or a comment? Hi, Christy.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my interesting thing about this is when I look at my list of events and the list of the prides, I see so many different themes that I can't even imagine how this comes together to one question. So I will definitely have to be a person that goes to the website. I like
No,
my
no, just reach out. We'll talk.
Okay. But you know what I mean? But I'm happy with the different things. And I'm kind of like what Kim was saying, it's kind of nice when you can just like, well, yeah, I did that and blah blah blah. And then you see it kind of come together, but still such a wide right range. So okay, I'll call
Yeah.
you.
There's like 8 worksheets involved in the
Oh,
process that
okay.
John created. I've
Kind of like a
worked.
funnel, maybe, kind of gets you there. No.
Um, well, it might look like a funnel to you.
Okay.
It might look like a scattergram to somebody else. I don't know. I've worked with several people, coaching them through the process, and it usually takes between 3 and 6 sessions
Okay.
when they go through the worksheets, and then we talk about it,
Okay.
as I try to help people get there. And then there's some people that John has told me about who might get stuck, and it takes much longer for them. They need to have some space. So we move at whatever pace the
Okay.
question comes. It comes,
Thank
but
you.
it might take a little bit of time.
Can you hear me now?
Yay, Stacy!
I have a weird setup in here and I never know what to do.
Technology is so much fun.
So I found myself still at this moment through this whole thing very emotional. Um, all of this is relevant to me right now, making a lot of changes in my life, and it just spoke to me. I am definitely going to look into this further. Um, and not only in my career, in my personal life. One of the things that I wrote down immediately was transitions whisper before they shout. And that's your intuition, or some people would call it God. Whatever it is for you, I feel it all the time. And oftentimes we ignore the whisper for a long time before it's like the shout, the mind-blowing shout where you go, okay, it's time to make a change.
Mhm.
But thank you for the information. I definitely want to pursue this further.
Thank you for the affirmation. I agree with you. The whisper is inside us all the time, and we have to be attuned to it to really hear. It's cool. I I just saw something in the chat and it disappeared. Can you read that, Ivy? I don't.
Yeah, I think Kimberly had left a comment stating, I had the same thought, kind of like the 5 whys of process improvement, knowing how to work through, and to narrow this down to a core theme and single question is of great interest. And I just also wanted to kind of lean into that as well. For myself, I am somebody that is multi-passionate, and I can say that my career trajectory path has gone through basically every industry under the sun. And I have always kind of tried to figure out how all of my interests even come together, how any of it ever makes sense. And I can say that I have been in business for 10 years, which sounds also wild. But I only figured out like within the last month how to even make all of it make sense and how to actually find the through line of it. So I feel like now that I've done that, I can probably do like this and figure out my question. And I don't think that I would have ever been able to do that until I finally figured out how all of the other pieces of my interests and the things that I've monetized and all of the things work together. So if anyone else is feeling that way, like it's it's understandable.
I'm curious about how you got there.
Yeah. Um, I'm happy to share if you want me to, or we could talk
Sure.
offline. Either works. Um, so we actually did another session in the personal transformation series, which I'm happy to share with you guys. And I think it was Nicole McNamara. She had shared about portfolio careers, which was a concept that honestly is kind of taking off in like LinkedIn and TikTok and those spaces right now by someone else, but it was actually I did some research and someone named Charles Handy, I think, was the one that had thought of it. And he also talks about like Shamrock organizations and things like that. So he had a lot of management theories and frameworks for businesses and organizations
Yep.
that really got me thinking like, wait, I I can be multi-passionate and like do all of these things and make them all work together. They just hadn't had one that was really for like entrepreneurs or individuals that are also neurodivergent, chronically ill, disabled, low energy. And so it kind of got me thinking like how what that framework would look like if there was one. And then I started like building it out on my own, but I haven't publicly talked about it yet. So all the pieces aren't quite there. But it finally just like clicked for me that
Yes.
I can see all of it together just the way that other people have like portfolio careers. I almost took like that and designed it within a business.
Very cool, Ivy. Thank you so much for sharing that journey. I think it points to the fact that each of us responds to different things that we read or hear, and they often come at a time when we need them. So that's part of the way that this process works as well, the different worksheets that kind of help stimulate all of the different, not just thinking, but feeling.
And I dropped into the chat, Ivy, The Power of the Pivot, How to Rewrite Your Story Without Losing Yourself, and the link is included. That was Nicole McNamara's session that she just referenced.
Perfect. That's the
Excellent.
one I was about to go find.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. That's
Yeah,
cool.
of course. And Ivy mentioned in the chat as well. So I just wanted to kind of call it out for everyone on the screen and others that might be listening later. So we do offer mentorship and career transition support. And a few years ago, we realized that a lot of our members were alumni who were thinking kind of about their what's next, or they had left. And sometimes it was, a retirement. Sometimes they were retiring, but not quite ready to be done, or people lost their jobs a few years ago and were just like, I don't know where to turn. And we piloted what we called Next Chapter Chats. And we invited people to really just come and share openly in a safe space that was not recorded, kind of where they were in their journey. And that evolved into this kind of this series this year, which Teresa's a part of, is just kind of self-discovery. And we did a series last year. So there's a couple sessions that Ivy pointed out that are coming up next week on the 15th and then again on the 28th, two speakers that are going to provide something similar to what Teresa's provided today, just different topics. And if you're interested in a mentor or what I would call a career transition coach, and this doesn't mean that you have to be, you know, truly in transition yet, but you're thinking about something, right? You're anticipating 3 years down the road, something's happening. You're in pre-retirement phase. You're just, I want to be the next C-suite level leader. It doesn't, whatever your journey is, our mentorship program, we can include in the link in the follow-up and here, the directory that you can go out and look at who are the people that are doing some of this mentoring through United Way Next. We're always looking for more mentors. So people that have an interest in being supportive of others could participate in the program, but also people who are listening today might want to take advantage of that. And I'll just share, I've done a lot of career coaching over the last 2.5 years because we didn't have a lot of people set up to do that. And I'm always inspired by the individuals who seek that out and the journey they take to find their next. And so I have seen it unfold time and time again already, just in my short time in doing this with Next. And um, can't can't thank you enough, Teresa, for the session and the content and helping us discover, right? And it's so refreshing to be in this type of a session versus us thinking about, we've got to do more with less. It's like, no, this is really helping us think for ourselves.
Yeah.
Um,
Not
so
necessarily do more, do what's important to you,
yes,
what
right,
matters to you.
right.
Yeah. I- Um, I'm wondering if any of you would like to share what you hope your next chapter makes possible. You're thinking about it, Allie.
I am. Yeah. I don't know. I need to do a little more like, you know, internal searches and figure out what is next. But I'm really excited about kind of shifting towards something new. And um yeah, right now it's the unknown. So I have to do a little bit more introspective, you know,
Absolutely.
work.
And that's also because each of us with our own personalities, some of us need time to process and really reflect. Some of us need other people to talk and listen to us. So that's also part of this process that we try to help people tap into their own style to figure that out. Thanks, Sally.
Yeah.
Janelle, we haven't heard anything from you. Do you want to share anything with us about what you hope your next chapter might make possible?
I guess for me, and thank you for including me, themes or patterns that came out for me are relationship choices and serving. So
Mm,
whatever I do, it has to be in service to others. For me, that's teaching and training and facilitating. So I absolutely admire your style. I like your calm presence. I totally feel like this calm has come over me today. I'm just like, oh, I like this. Um, but I'm in the same place. I just recently retired a year ago this week, and so reflecting on the year I've had, starting my own business, but also where do I want to go? So I'm in a transition, and I love that you guys said transitions whisper before they shout, and that is so true. So I'm trying to figure out what the transition is before it has to shout at me.
yeah,
So
yeah, I get that.
um you learn from not always doing well the first time. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure that transition out. I don't know if I permanently want to be where I am or if I want to put all my effort here. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Well, you're on a journey, and
I am.
that's I think that's what a lot of this is about. Um, some of you know my husband died about 2.5 years ago, and that certainly is a transition to really understand who am I now. And grief itself is such an interesting process. It teaches, it really, for me anyway, it teaches so much. Um, and coming through that period and recognizing not only um, the the memories, the gratitude I have for the almost 42 years that we were
Mhm.
married. Um, Also, the opportunity at this point in my life to do whatever I want to do. So for example, I designed January, February, and March to not be in Illinois because I could work from wherever I wanted most of the time. Um, Making sure that I spend, like my goal last year and this year is to spend time with every one of my 11 grandchildren every quarter,
Wow.
which means traveling. So there's just some pieces to all of the transition that I've been through that being very clear about my question has allowed me to put into action. It's
Wow.
pretty great.
I just have to add something. I'm like Janelle, I retired a year ago. And in that year, did a move from Chicago to Phoenix, built a house. And I worked for United Way since I was 23 years old, right out of college. And I'll tell you this last year, I have ne and I've tried not to look at it as negative, but I think all of you will be able to relate, especially because you're all mostly women. But I have felt like this guilt, like this past year has been all about me. And I have never done that in my life. And it's been lovely, you know? And but I've got another girlfriend that's going through the exact same thing. And we were talking, it's just like we've never not been doing something meaningful for others, for the community, and we're trying to figure out what is it that would make sense to us now. But I guess I just wanted to say that for a year, it's been like so fun to not have to worry about budgets, not have to worry about payroll. I mean, you don't realize what a huge stress that is on you until you're able to walk away from it. So I just wanted to say, I don't know, but just wanted to share that.
Yeah. And sometimes, Christy, we just need a certain amount of time to do things that are very different
Yeah.
that then help us to reflect on, wow, there are some things that were really stressful in my life that, boy, I'm not feeling that now. Isn't that a great thing?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I definitely needed a break. But now it's like, okay, that was a nice year. What's next now? You know?
What's
Mhm.
next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the great thing about what's next is hopefully now you can combine the two because
Mhm.
you've experienced both of serving other people, being there for others, but also for yourself, that you hopefully won't go back to just all about everybody else and putting yourself last. It's learning to marry those two together so you can have both and not have guilt either way. Now I say that, but I haven't figured that out. But
A second.
that's one of my goals is as I move forward, I've had a lot of reflection time and time to learn why I did certain things and what worked and didn't. And so really working on not repeating that now that I've got a little bit of wisdom behind me. And yeah, I totally get that. The biggest thing for me that surprised me, because I was with my United Way 25 years, same United Way, I thought more of my identity was tied into United Way than it was.
Oh,
For myself, but also for others. I kept walking into rooms expecting people, and I don't even know how to explain this, not judge me, but, oh, Janelle from United Way. And every single person greeted me as Janelle, like not CEO of United Way. They bring up United Way every so often, so I didn't lose it. But I was like, huh, I'm I'm accepted as just Janelle. And that was really refreshing and allowed me to move forward as well
that's,
without leaving United Way behind.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing, Janelle. Appreciate that. Anybody else? I think we're running out of time, aren't we, Ivy? So much fun to hear everybody's reflections. And I just encourage you to continue the journey. It's worth it.
Well, thank you, Teresa. I know Ivy's got some general housekeeping things she'll cover really quick before we hop off. And we just want to say thanks to everybody for being here. This was lovely. And to Teresa for such a great presentation and just dedicated time to really think about this powerful question.
Yes, I loved this conversation. I'm so excited. I'll probably rewatch this. I know I have to sit with the worksheet. When I saw it yesterday, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do this in the session. I'm gonna need more time. So I will make sure that you guys have the worksheet, the recording, all of the links that I shared in the chat. You guys will have access to the upcoming personal transformation series sessions, as well as I will give you the playlist for the personal discovery sessions that I think would be of interest to you guys, and Nicole McNamara's session as well. And then we do have on the 15th, when the needs of my my community feel too much, trauma-informed strategies to sustain our health while supporting those we lead and love in trauma and toxic stress. And then another personal transformation series event is Legacy is a Verb, designing the next chapter of your career with purpose. And that is with Elena, who is also a consultant collaborative member, and she is a multi-passionate individual as well. So you guys may be interested in that one. And then we've got, I think, 9 other events this quarter, more next quarter, and we're planning 2027. So we'd greatly appreciate it if you guys filled out the survey when you hop out of this Zoom room. And if there's anything else you guys need from me, please do let us know. Otherwise, we will give you all of the resources and stuff for mentorship and all of Teresa's information. And just thank you for watching. Thank you for participating, registering. Thank you, Teresa, for speaking. Thank you to our sponsors for helping us with all of these. Just thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. The joy.
It is a joy. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.